Today we're looking at the 2013 BMW 135is coupe. This is a 6-inline cylinder engine. It's a twin turbo. It has 300 horsepower, 300 foot-pounds of torque. It runs a 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds. It has a dual clutch. Many say BMW has created a driver's car, and we're going to see if that really is true. This coupe does have an aggressive look to it. BMW has done a good job making this small coupe so attractive. BMW has done a really nice job designing the front of their cars. It's what gives their cars that aggressive look, and especially with this coupe, it is the center of its really aggressive nature. Okay, so the trunk on this coupe is actually really large. I was surprised when I opened it. A lot of coupes have really small trunks. The BMW has done a really nice job. The seats in this coupe are very comfortable. The back seats aren't really designed for like a grown adult. You know, if you've got small kids, you can fit them, but the front seats, they're not, they're bucket seats. They're not as deep as you might think. I'm a wider person, and it's a bit of a squeeze for me, but I think for your average driver, these are really comfortable seats. The overall interior feels really nice. It feels like a lot of BMWs. It's a luxurious feel. It doesn't really feel like your average sports car. It's not as closed in, but it does have a luxury feel, which is nice. Okay, so storage in this car is pretty limited in the interior. You've got a pretty small glove compartment, boss. You can probably fit your manual and some papers in here, but it's not really that large. Also, the armrests, the space in there, there's no space really under it. And when it opens, very limited space inside. There's nothing you could really keep in here, maybe loose change, an extra key fob. The cup holder in this car here is not really functional. This is nice, this is a nice feature, but you can only really hold one cup. And there is a little tray here that has your cigarette lighter and something for either trash, change, but it isn't very large. The overall storage in this coupe inside and the interior isn't very large. It is a downside to this coupe. So this engine does have 300 horsepower and 300 foot-pounds of torque. It's twin turbo, it's a really powerful engine. I'm going to give it a little rev and you can hear kind of what the engine sounds like. The engine has less of a guttural sound. The noise is more coming from the exhaust, which is a nice feature. It is a turbo. It's different than what you see with a lot of muscle cars. There isn't as much engine noise, especially it's tuned out. Very refined interior. Let's take a look at what the exhaust sounds like. Okay, so this coupe does have 300 horsepower and 300 foot-pounds of torque. It is a twin turbo, 6-inline cylinder. But a nice thing about this coupe is it does make pretty good mileage for the type of coupe it is. It is a sports car. It runs a 4.9 second, not to 60. It makes 20 in the city and 28 on the highway, which is a nice feature. You don't really see that in coupes that can get to this speed, that are this fast. It's nice to see that BMW has done something with the engine that allows it to get this type of mileage. Okay, so the display on this car is nice. It makes the interior feel a little more sporty because it's tucked into the dashboard. The only issue I see is it can be difficult to see the bottom part of the screen. I didn't really encounter that much of that issue, but for smaller drivers it might be an issue. The overall controls in this car are pretty simple. They're pretty standard in most BMWs. It's nothing really special. It's a great system. It works very well. It's what you expect out of a luxury vehicle. And now the shifter knob. I really like the shifter knob in this car. It's unique. It's a dual clutch. It is an automatic with a sport shifter, and it does have a sport mode. The gauges on this BMW, they're pretty average. They're not special. I prefer gauges that are a little more flashy, but this is a common setup. Okay, so sitting in the car, I'm about to take it for a test drive. The first thing I notice is it's a very, I feel large, for a small coupe, I feel like I'm in a large space. The visibility is actually really great. I think BMW has done a really good job designing a coupe that you can really see out of the back window. I've got great visibility on the sides, a very open front. I can see over the hood of the car. And I can see over the hood and I don't feel elevated like you do in a lot of Mustangs. I really still feel attached to the road, which is definitely a nice feature. I'm putting it in reverse right now, backing out of this space, and
no, it doesn't have a backup camera, but I have so much visibility, especially in a small coupe, that backing up is really easy. You know, I find with driving things like the FRS, the BRZ, that when I back up, I really don't have a good view of what's behind me, and even if they have a backup camera, it's not very accurate and responsive. Okay, so I've been driving this for a little while, and what I've really noticed is the steering, which I really like. I've driven a couple BMWs, old and new, and the steering is very similar with all the models, and I really like it. Many cars have steering that's really soft, and you can't really tell what you're doing. And with this car, I know what's happening on the road. I have a great feel. It's very responsive, and it's heavy, which you like to see in a sports car. Okay, so after using the brakes for a little bit with this car, they're a little touchy, which you see a lot in sports cars, and with other BMWs. They're touchy, and they also you don't brake as soon as you'd like to. I'd like to see a shorter stopping period, and I'd like that feel to be shorter. Okay, so I'm coming around a turn. I really like the handling. I feel attached to the road. It doesn't have much body sway. BMW did a really nice job engineering the suspension. The road is a little dulled out. Whenever I'm hitting a bump or something, the car dulls it out a little bit, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing I live in New England. There are potholes, and it is a refined interior. The noise isn't that much. But I'd rather see out of this car something a little more responsive. Maybe I do want to feel more of the holes that I'm hitting, especially with such a powerful car. You kind of want to know what's under you. But overall, it has a nice feel. It's definitely nicer than a lot of other coupes. I drove the S5, and I noticed it had a similar feel. You're kind of dulled out the road, but this definitely feels like a more refined interior. Okay, we're gonna give this car just a wee bit of acceleration. We are in New England. There are low speed limits. So we're gonna get up to the road here, and here we go. So yeah, it does have some nice low end torque. A lot of the speed is definitely coming from the lower RPM revving, which is nice to see. You don't see that in the S5, which is what I would think is one of the equivalents to this car. I didn't push it I pushed it, but I didn't get it past 50, and the powertrain never gave up on me in that window, which is what some coupes do, and I liked the way BMW really engineered that. Okay, this is Eric from Autobahn USA. He went on the test drive with us to see what it was all about, and I have him in the back seat, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about how the back seat feels.
I'm like a medium-sized adult. I'm 5'8", 170 pounds, and I feel pretty comfortable back here. If I was any taller, I think I'd feel a little bit cramped, because if I sit up, I can kind of touch the ceiling. But I'd say it's a usable back seat for a medium to small adult or children.
So after driving this coupe, I really got to see who this car might be suited for. This is definitely, I had a great experience with this coupe. I wasn't expecting such a spacious coupe. You know, it's a really small car, but once you're inside, it really feels like you've got space. I had a great experience. It's a very fast car. It's 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds, 300 horsepower, 300 foot-pounds of torque. The performance really isn't going to hinder you. I don't think you're not going to get this car to run around a track, but this is definitely a very fast car. Anyone that's looking for a fast coupe and a German engineering luxury car, this is definitely a car you should look at. I just want to say thank you to Autobahn USA for providing us with this BMW 135is. They're nice. It's a nice dealership. There's nice people. I've had a great experience with them. They provide pre-discounted cars directly to the market, and they've been doing it for 16 years. They have a motto that I actually really like, but I think it's cool. The motto is "Life's too short to drive a boring car," and the dealer definitely embodies that. They have a lot of nice luxury and sports cars here, and if you're interested in this BMW that I'm reviewing, I think this is a nice dealership, and you should check them out if you're in the market for one.